big announcement there. It is open rebellion within the AIADMK. The former chief minister turning out and saying he was humiliated, he was insulted, and he was not consulted in that legislative party meeting. He said they met, they called the MLAs, they decided everything, putting the blame entirely on Chidamba and saying that Sasikala Natarajan and her coterie usurped the throne, usurped the chief minister's chair, because he has said that J. Jayalalitha wanted me to be chief minister when she was in hospital, and he has claimed that he is the true political heir of J. Jayalalitha. Shabir Ahmed now joining us with more. Shabir, he has also turned around and towards the end said, let the people decide. It is for the people to decide who will be the chief minister and who will lead them, whether it is OPS or anyone else.
Well, Anand, that is not, apart from that, he has also mentioned one important point. If the party workers and the people want me to continue, then he will consider taking back his resignation. So that is the final statement that O. Pannirselvam has made at Jayalalitha's memorial. So this is a big news that is coming in. He says that if the party workers as well as the people of Tamil Nadu, if they are with me, if the MLAs are with me on my side, then I will consider taking back my resignation. Let's remember O. Pannirselvam also made it very clear that he did not resign on his own, and he was forced to resign by VK Shashikala, the AIADMK General Secretary. So now the split between the AIADMK.
So Shabir, if we look at this, yes, Shabir, the way things stand now, and O. Pannirselvam now announcing his revolt, his bid to continue to be the chief minister, who's backing him? He's already mentioned that the Sasikala camp has been pressurizing him. He's indirectly also mentioned that Thambidurai tried to supersede him. Does he have support or significant support within the party, Shabir?
Well, at this juncture, it is too early to say whether he has support of the party. But going by the popular sentiment that is prevailing here in Tamil Nadu, it's very clear that O. Pannirselvam will definitely have a considerable amount of support as far as the AIADMK is concerned. And the majority of the party workers are going to be with him. And that is the confidence that one can get from O. Pannirselvam's speech. So that is something which is very clear. And we also understand that O. Pannirselvam has also made this remark saying that if the people of Tamil Nadu and if the MLAs and others want him as the chief minister, then definitely he will go ahead and he will become.
How many MLAs does he have? What is the support that he has within the party? Rahul Shivshankar, our chief editor, also joins us on this breaking development, Rahul. But just asking Shabir this: what is the support that Pannirselvam has within the party? Will he have the big numbers? Shabir.
Well, that is something which is still unclear. In fact, AIADMK has 134 MLAs, and O. Pannirselvam, what is the kind of support that O. Pannirselvam has? That is something that we will have to wait and see, because as of now, he has made his intentions very clear that if the MLAs and the people of Tamil Nadu, if they want him to continue as the chief minister, then he will definitely go ahead. But also, on the other hand, let's not forget that DMK has also made a promise on the floor of the House saying that if O. Pannirselvam wants the numbers, then probably the DMK is ready to support him. So that is the kind
just hold on there, Shabir. Just putting this also in perspective, and Rahul Shivshankar with us. Rahul, you know, if we indeed are heading for a split, some things are extremely clear. You know, he's taken a few names. He's mentioned Thambidurai, who and hinted that he's been trying to supersede him. So clearly there is a split happening. He's taken his time to think about it and come out and say this tonight, Rahul.
Yeah, well, let's not cross some lines here. Now, remember that parties can't split unless there is a two-third criteria that is fulfilled. So while you can have an individual exiting the party and floating his own outfit, you can't have a split down the middle unless you have two-thirds of the party splitting to be recognized really as the official faction. This is not something like what happened about a month and a half ago with the Samajwadi Party, where Akhilesh Yadav decided to go up in revolt against his father, challenged the leadership, and was elected in a very public platform by the entire party. At this moment, what we know is that an overwhelming majority of MLAs of the AIADMK have chosen Shashikala to be their boss. That is the basic fact. You can't dispute that fact. What OPS is trying to do here is create some sort of an environment where he is suggesting that the elevation of Sasikala was against the principles of morality, certainly not legality, because it's quite clear that he was also one of those individuals who voted in her favor. Now the point is, what happens next? There are 2 or 3 options that will be exercised as we go forward. The first option will be exercised in the Raj Bhavan. There is and there has been talk, and let me be upfront about it, there has been talk that OPS enjoys the support of the centre. If you read the fact that the governor has disappeared pretty much from the scene for the last 24 to 48 hours, it could be said that there has been a latent charge to try and reinstate OPS, shake up the party by suggesting that there is credible reasons to believe that there is widespread dissent amongst the AIDMK ranks. Now, what we know as of now, and this is very important, Tanvi and Anand, what we know as of now is that OPS has come out and made 5 big damning disclosures. Damning because they almost suggest that Sasikala has orchestrated a power grab at the top, which is illegitimate. Number one, he said, most importantly, that he was always told by Jayalalitha that the person who should be General Secretary is a gentleman called Mr. Madhusudan, that he should continue on as Chief Minister of the state, that there was an attempt by Thambidurai faction loyal to Sasikala to supersede him at different points in time, including when he went calling upon the Prime Minister. In context of the Jallikattu agitation. And most importantly, Anand, he also has come out and said that Jayalalitha was of the opinion that as far as the party was concerned, Sasikala was not the person who should be in charge.
Well, Rahul, I'm just reading out what O. Pannirselvam said. His Twitter handle, the CMO Tamil Nadu, has put out the exact transcript, and he's saying, I was first told Madhusudanan should take over as General Secretary. I didn't accept it. I opposed it. I accepted the post only after they told me if I don't accept it, it will bring disrepute to the party. He has also said that I was informed that Sasikala should take over as Chief Minister. When I asked what's the necessity, they told me one person should have both posts. They told me. And then he also says, I came to know there was a meeting of the MLAs. I did not have the info. I was given the CM post but insulted continuously. So at all points, and he says it is Jayalalitha's spirit, Amma's soul, told me to inform this to the people of the state. It was only because I was forced that I stepped down.
In no uncertain terms, Anand, there is a constitutional crisis in the making, at least a constitutional mess in the making, because as of now, Tamil Nadu doesn't have a recognized chief minister. OPS resigned, his resignation was accepted by the governor. The next protagonist in the drama is Sasikala, who wants to aspire to be chief minister. The governor at this moment seems reluctant. He has been consulting a large number of legal luminaries as of yesterday. We don't perhaps know if he had an inkling of what was underfoot. If he did have an inkling of what was underfoot, then it explains why he has not moved forward with administering an oath of office to Sasikala. The point is that going forward from here, what happens next? Number one, of course, O. Pannirselvam can call for a meeting of all the legislators and the CLP and demand an open election in which he presents himself as a challenger to the General Secretary's position and thereon as an aspirant for the Chief Minister once again. Secondly, the governor could keep things in suspended animation, ask OPS to continue in office, or then move to dissolve the assembly. If not that, then at least call for a show of hands. If anything else, if all of that fails, then it will embolden the opposition to call for a show of hands on the floor of the House, which opens up this entire issue into a vortex which could lead to some sort of a negation of the people's mandate that we saw being exercised overwhelmingly in favor of Jayalalitha last year. So these are the areas that we need to look out for. Yes.
Rahul, latest update coming in that the second option that you said, that Pannirselvam could be asked to continue as interim chief minister and the swearing in and all will not happen in the days to come. That is most likely to happen, and he might be asked to withdraw his resignation from the governor itself. We've got Mr. TK Elangovan with us, Rahul and Tanvi. Mr. Elangovan, this development here, O. Pannirselvam coming out and saying that these are the truths that I have to share, and he has openly said and rebelled against Sasikala and her coterie.
Yeah, it breaks the claim that O. Pannirselvam had proposed Jayalalitha for the post of Chief Minister. which is
Sasikala.
Paneerselvam himself denies that he was, yes. Sasikala as the chief minister, because they were telling that with the consent of Paneerselvam that Sasikala was elected as the leader of the legislative party, which has become false as per Paneerselvam's statement.
Mr. Elangovan, how do you foresee this?
Without the
Yes, go ahead, please finish your point.
without the consent of the incumbent chief minister, there is no what is the urgency, and there were some forces in the party which does not, they want Sasikala to be the chief minister against the wishes of Jayalalitha is something the people of the
No, but Mr. Elangovan, the question to the DMK is this: are you going to force now a show of hands, a show of strength? Because what happens next is very critical and it's really dependent upon the opposition party. Are you going to call now for a vote of confidence?
Definitely.
What is the next step?
As the opposition party, we will definitely seek for a vote of confidence, or we will at least...
Big breaking news.
Floor of the house, we want them
Big
to...
breaking news. The DMK is going to be pressing for a show of hands on the floor of the house, which is a big development in the context of this entire story, because it will bring out to the fore the various divisions within the AIDMK. The AIDMK will now need to band together, otherwise it is in the fear really of losing its majority on the floor of the house. Remember, the numbers, Anand, are not overwhelmingly in favor of the AIDMK. There is a...
At the moment, Rahul.
Yes,
At the moment, Rahul, because the moment they see the people's pulses with O Paneerselvam, a lot of those who are silently accepting the dominance of Sasikala and her coterie will perhaps switch ranks. But the other question, the follow-up question to Mr. Elangovan is, Mr. Elangovan, will the DMK back O Paneerselvam? If he requires the numbers on the floor of the house, will you back him, sir?
Why should we? As an opposition, we will only want to expose the AIDMK. We will not back O Paneerselvam. We have about 89 MLAs of our own, a very strong opposition party in the floor.
Yes,
should we support
that's the point I was making.
The
point is,
you are in no position to form the government. Mr. Elangovan, you are in no position to form the government alone with 89 MLAs. The question is, are you pushing the state towards a constitutional crisis by holding out that threat?
No, see, I will tell you one thing. There are certain contentious issues within the AIDMK where the MLA seems to be divided. We will want to, as an opposition party, we will want to make use of it. As the things develop, we will decide our course of action in the future.
Well, the blame game has already begun here. The blame game has already begun because at this moment in time, the AIDMK is going to play victim. They're going to say that there are forces that have made Mr. OPS rebel against the party, that there is a hidden hand that is dictating this script which is being read out now by OPS, as we just saw about 20 minutes back. But on the other hand, you have the DMK that is saying that there is a crisis in the making. Yes, go ahead, Navika.
Rahul, I have breaking news coming in. My sources are telling me that the Tamil Nadu governor, who was expected to go from Mumbai to Chennai tomorrow, is now unlikely to go to Chennai. He's going to wait and watch the situation. And as of now, the caretaker Chief Minister O Paneerselvam will probably be asked to continue a little while longer. Now, Rahul, there are two things that are happening.
Yes.
One, the governor is going to wait for the AIA-DMK internal crisis to sort itself out, to see which leader, whether it's Sasikala or whether it's O Paneerselvam, who has the maximum MLAs with him, and wait for that entire issue to play out. Number two, the governor is also looking at the fact that there are Supreme Court judgments that are expected out. Some say that even sometime later this week, the Supreme Court could advance the judgment on the Sasikala case. So the governor waiting and watching, keeping a close eye on the developments,
Navika,
but waiting for the internal power struggle in the AIA-DMK to play itself out.
This means that we are going to see now an active spell of a certain degree of show of strength of various factions, which could mean and could end up really in various individuals leading various factions, parading their numbers in front of the governor to convince them that they actually should be invited to take over as chief minister. This really opens up a Pandora's box of instability, and there's no other way of putting it in Tamil Nadu. Look at what a farce the mandate has been turned into in just about 6-7 months in Tamil Nadu. And you have a situation, Navika, and let's just go over this step by step. You were saying that the first step that the governor of the state is planning to take is to sit back and watch just who is going to emerge as the strongest candidate from within the AIADMK with the largest numbers to make some sort of a bid for the chief minister's chair. That's what's going to happen. And failing that, what's the next step?
Well, at the moment, first, the governor is going to watch which faction within the AIADMK has the numbers. Second is there's going to be a close eye on the Supreme Court judgment. The third is an assembly session could be called for a show of hands. The question is, does Sasikala have the support? Does Paneerselvam have the support? Here, the edge will be with Paneerselvam because he is the interim chief minister. Remember, Sasikala is not even an elected MLA. She is somebody who has been a close confidant of Jayalalitha, but that's about it. She's always been in the background. She's never participated in elections, whereas Paneerselvam is a sitting MLA, has led the AIADMK in the assembly, over the last several months when Jayalalitha was unwell. So he knows the ropes. Edge with Paneerselvam at this moment.
Well, Navika,
the question is, how will Sasikala counter this back to Paneerselvam?
Yes, Navika,
So we are going to see a phase of uncertainty.
And the implications are also because of the bureaucracy. The bureaucrats who are all out, who are ousted by Sasikala and her coterie, they will all come back into the mix and they will ensure that OPS gets the support as far as the administrative support is concerned. Constitutional expert Mr. Kashyap with us, Subhash Kashyap with us on the phone. How do you see it all opening out and panning out in Tamil Nadu? Are we heading to a situation of constitutional crisis, Mr. Kashyap?
No, I don't see any crisis. So far as the constitution is concerned, it is for the governor to appoint the chief minister. But
Yes.
the governor cannot appoint anybody because the council of ministers has to be responsible to the assembly.
Yes.
That is, the governor can appoint only a person who, in his opinion, is likely to command majority support in the house. If it is not clear who commands the majority support, the safest course for the governor would be to send a message to the House under Article 175 and ask the House to elect its leader.
There you go. That in my books defines some sort of a big mess that has taken place, a constitutional mess. I believe we have Aryama Sundaram also with us. Aryama Sundaram, unprecedented situation unfolding in Tamil Nadu. What do you make of it, first of all?
Well, the plot thickens, the drama grows on, but the point is, I think it's actually a very simply resolved issue because of this reason. Today, the ADMK is the largest, it is the majority party in the House. It is for the ADMK within themselves to decide who they would like as their chief minister. Now, the ADMK then, you see, earlier they had 136 MLAs voting for it unanimously. What Mr. Paneerselvam has, a statement today shows is, well, they don't have 137, they're 136, they have 135.
Yeah, 134.
134.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Now, the point is, once again, the choice of the chief minister is by the MLAs of the party. This has nothing to do with the cadre or the party members or anybody else.
So there's a real
But
fear
the
of money
chief minister-
changing hands, of horse trading behind the scenes
Of course,
as far as the
that's what I'm
party is
coming to.
concerned.
That's exactly what I'm coming to, Rahul. You see, what happens now is that it will be who they choose to be the chief minister. Now, if there are a number of disgruntled MLAs, the only thing which can happen is that if the party chooses by majority their chief ministerial candidate, at the most there can be a question of the vote of confidence in the House. Now, this is where the rub comes in. Don't forget this, these MLAs have been voted only 1 year ago.
Yes.
Yes.
The moment a whip is issued and they vote against the chief minister who has been chosen by the majority, then they get disqualified from the House. and those MLAs then go out of the house and lose their seats. I don't know how many of them are going to be willing to do it. Now, that is going to create a very interesting situation, because if a number of them are willing to do it and really leave and get disqualified from the house, then the majority of the truncated house will then become the party which can choose the chief minister and the leader of the house.
Yeah,
and don't forget the DMK has about
89. It has 89 to be precise. 89 MLAs,
89,
which
but
is
with their allies. I don't know how it will work out.
There's a Congress. There's Congress which has 8 seats, and there's IML which has 1. So that gives you 98 seats in
98.
total. If they all vote with a
if about 30 members.
Yeah.
Or whatever, which will make the majority, if a sufficient number of members of the MLAs of the ADMK are willing to lose their seats, then they can claim a majority of the truncated house. But that I don't see happening, because I can't see these MLAs so keen to give up their seats just 1 year after they have become legislators. So the way I see it
But Mr.
unfolding
Arima
is there's going to be
Sundram-
a lot of horse trading within the ADMK as to who is going to be their chief ministerial candidate, and there is going to be some kind of...
What a mockery of the mandate.
Unless Paneerselvam can get enough people with him...
But
Navika
Mr.
has a question.
Arima Sundram, what is...
Yes.
Mr. Arima Sundram, what is the role of the governor when you're saying openly that there is a possibility of large-scale horse trading taking place in Tamil Nadu? What's the role of the governor? Because the governor constitutionally has to safeguard the situation in Tamil Nadu in such a way that this kind of open horse trading can be avoided.
You're absolutely correct. So what the role of the governor would be that in view of today's statement, he would like a revised list to be furnished of all the MLAs who are supporting whoever is the chief ministerial candidate. He can ask for that today and say, look, there seems to be a change, because at least 2 people who had earlier signed now are on public media saying that they are not with the chief ministerial choice.
But can there be an interim arrangement, Mr. Arima Sundaram, where perhaps OPS is reinstated? Can there be an interim arrangement where the status quo...
Frankly, I don't see this going on for another more than 2 or 3 days. I think because within the next couple of days, the governor ought to ask for a list from the ADMK of who they choose to be their chief ministerial, a final list from them.
So what you're saying is that the probability of horse trading will actually be something restricted to the AIDMK, not really on the floor of the House as of now.
Within the ADMK, it would have already started amongst the MLAs. They will have to go up to the governor with saying they're being supported by so many members of the legislature. Now with a slightly slim, the majority, unless they get at least about 95 MLAs who are supporting.
Well, there are some individuals who are talking about dissolving the House also. There are some individuals who are saying the House should be dissolved, that because of the probability of horse trading, probability of all sorts of sharp practices, this situation is untenable, and the centre might actually step in tomorrow and impose a degree of central rule. It's happened in Jharkhand, sir.
Let me answer you. The point here is it's an internal matter within the ADMK right now. The horse trading is not going on between the ADMK and some other party. It's actually an intra-party dispute which is going on right now. That intra-party dispute will have to be resolved within the party itself. As on yet, it does not become an issue which goes out of the party and enters into the legislature.
Okay, I wonder what the tolerance threshold will be. Let me also bring in Sanjay Hegde. Stay on with me, Mr. Arima Sundaram. Sanjay Hegde, coming in with another opinion, senior lawyer. How do you see the situation unfolding, Sanjay Hegde? This looks like one of those intractable situations where a party is undecided about its leader. There is infighting. How does it resolve itself? And at what level and at what stage does the governor come in and say, okay, the time has come for you to take a floor test, or he moves to dissolve?
Let's just get the facts right.
Facts.
We have OPS who has resigned.
No. Yes, you have.
His resignation was accepted by the governor.
True.
There is no question of his resignation now being reconsidered. If at all, he will have to be sworn in again as chief minister. and he would have to be asked to prove his majority. If the governor takes that call, so be it. Then comes the other part. What I am reminded of was the very first break in the Anna DMK after MGR's death. You must remember that even at that time, the central government in Delhi tried to have Anna DMK chief minister of its choice in MGR's wife, Janaki Ramchandran. Jayalalitha rebelled against that. After the rebellion, there was an election where the Anna DMK lost, and then in the next election, that's when she came to power. So these intra-party disputes take quite some time to resolve. However, has changed now is that you have the Anti-Defection Act. Now, any defecting person who wants to be chief minister has to take 2/3 of the MLAs away.
That's the point I made originally, yes.
That is certainly not easy. And a lot depends on the speaker of the day.
All of this,
which side is the speaker on, or whether the speaker is convenient on these.
This is all an issue only if OPS does not have the numbers. But Mr. Elangovan, you have to tell our viewers across the country that in Tamil Nadu, nobody will come out and stand in open rebellion like O. Pannirselvam has done, unless he's assured of the numbers. Unless he's sure that he will be able to prove his majority if his strength is tested on the floor of the House, floor of the Assembly.
See, the question of proving majority within the party, I think OPS may lose in proving the majority within the party.
Okay, so big breaking news coming in. Sources are telling us, internal sources from the AIDMK are telling us that O. Pannirselvan as of now only has the support of about 50 MLAs. That doesn't constitute 2/3, so he can't break away and split the party. Point one, we are being told that those numbers might in fact improve upon themselves if Shashikala is unable to retain the numbers that she hopes to fall back on. So a number is being finally put, sources within the AIDMK telling us that about 50 MLA. Let's bring in Shabir into this. Shabir, information coming to you from your sources.
Well, that's right, Rahul. Only 50 MLAs will go with O. Pannirselvam is what the AIADMK assessment is as of now. But what we also hear is that O. Pannirselvam might also enjoy the support of DMK, because already on the floor of the House, the DMK has promised that they will go ahead and support O. Pannirselvam if there is a situation where he has to prove the majority. But on the other hand, it also remains to be seen whether what kind of backing O. Pannirselvam will get, and that is something that remains to be seen, because as of now what we are hearing is that O. Pannirselvam also enjoys a tacit support of the central government. So that is something which is important, and at any point in time the central government will not support the DMK and it will only support O. Pannirselvam. So that is the dynamics that is playing out here in Chennai.
Well, and for anyone to split the party, you need at least 90 MLAs. If you want to split the party and be recognized as an official,
that's the point, Rahul. Rahul, that's the point. With just 50 MLAs, Rahul, if O. Pannirselvam cannot split the party, then let's take this question back to Sanjay Hegde. Sanjay Hegde, it becomes a completely unstable government, because if 50 MLAs are with O. Pannirselvam, Sasikala, if she has to become the chief minister, which the governor has not opened his cards as of now, whether he's willing to swear her in at the earliest or not, is it an instability-led time for the Tamil Nadu government? Is the Tamil Nadu state headed for instability, and will that open the way for the centre to take a call on whether president's rule is required in the state or not?
The governor will have to take a call on whether the government of Tamil Nadu can be carried out in accordance with the constitution or not. If such a determination is made prematurely, we have seen what has happened in Arunachal and Uttarakhand. I would think that everything would be best served if there is a chief minister who is installed and then thereafter asked to prove the majority on the floor of the House. If the person has the majority, so be it. If the person does not have the majority, they
Well, the DMK said that they're going to press for a floor test, which could precipitate the entire situation. Sanjay Hegde, we are being told that the DMK is here to bear testimony to this because they told us that they're going to press for a floor test sooner than later. So you have a situation now where the DMK is eyeing an opportunity. Remember, MK Stalin has led this party to a phenomenal 90 or almost 89 MLAs, and he was always hoping to be chief minister this time around. He's not going to give up, is he, Sanjay Hegde?
Obviously, he's not going to give up, and if you ask me as a betting man, he will be chief minister sooner or later. I suspect it will be after an election. What is most likely to happen is that the process of fracturing the AIDMK has begun. Once that fracture gets into full play, there will possibly be president's rule followed by elections. There can be all kinds of realignments. This is what I'm saying as a political
let me go
watcher
bring in Shabir. Shabir, the question that needs to be now asked is,
however, constitutionally,
was there an outside hand that has propelled OPS today to go to J. Jayalalitha's memorial and then come out with this revolt? Was there somebody who's been instigating this, Shabir?
Obviously there was. Let me tell you
one second. Let me bring in Shabir.
Well,
Shabir, who's closer to the ground.
What we do understand.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shabir. Go ahead.
Well, according to our sources, what we do understand is that OPS has been, talking with people, and in fact, he has the support within the party, and also the public sentiment is against VK Sasikala, and there are party workers who are ready to rally behind O Pannirselvam. So that is the confidence that O Pannirselvam has at this point in time, and in fact, as we have been reporting earlier, that O Pannirselvam has the support of at least 50 MLAs, and he also has the support of the central government, because yesterday I was talking to a senior leader of the AIADMK, and off the record they told me that O Pannirselvam was in close touch with the central government.
So how does that, Shabir, the point also becomes then, how does that play into the state politics? Yeah, and what happens then in the assembly? And Mr. Elangovan, you said your party is going to push for a floor test. Now, come on now, tell us which way are you going to side here? If we are learning from our sources that Pannirselvam may have support of at least 50, may not be enough. Is your party then going to be ready, or are we headed towards a president's rule then?
See, I'll tell you one thing. If the party has, if the one section has any number less than 118, they are not a majority.
That's right.
If 40 MLAs goes with O Pannirselvam, then the DMK becomes the major stakeholder in the assembly.
Okay, so you are sensing power there. Sanjay Hegde, that's the point Mr. Elangovan is making. Mr. Elangovan says that if 50 MLAs are supporting O Pannirselvam, then the strength of the AIADMK falls to 86, which is 3 short of what the DMK has. Is this a position where the DMK can actually push the AIADMK government? Do you see that happening? Do you see a complete constitutional crisis within the Assembly of Tamil Nadu?
If the constitution is allowed to play out, this is what has to happen. There has to be a session of the assembly. There has to be a person in the chief minister's chair asking for a vote of confidence. If the person in the chief minister's chair obviously will have issued a whip to all the members of the party to support
I need to cut in here, Mr. Hegde. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy joining us. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy of the Bharatiya Janata Party, who was on my show a little while earlier. Dr. Swamy, you had met the president. Now, after that meeting, there have been very fast-paced developments. Was your meeting disconnected? I have to ask you this question now. Was that disconnected from what we are seeing?
No, not at all. There is I've had a discussion about whether who can form a stable government. As of now, Sasikala is definitely qualified to claim that she can form a stable government because she's got the unanimous support of the legislature party, and of course minus one MLA who's now turned up in the beach to...
Well, Dr. Swami, we are hearing that O. Paneerselvam has the support of at least 50 MLAs. That's what we are told.
That has to be demonstrated. It can't be on the basis of your hearing. There has to be a demonstration of that. Signatures have to be taken and submitted to the governor. If they do, then, and if he can get majority, then he can be sworn in. If he doesn't get majority and the governor comes to the conclusion that no stable government can be formed in the present circumstances, then president's rule will follow.
Do you see that as a possibility, because you're a senior BJP member at the center, you're close to the powers that are, will the Bharatiya Janata Party be hoping for a spell of president's rule?
I don't think we'll be hoping, because that will create problems if Sasikala continues to maintain the majority. Unless Sasikala is shown to have lost majority now, then there would be a case for...
Well, Dr. Swami, the reason I'm asking you these questions is because there's been a lot of speculation as to who really the Modi government at the center is going to be comfortable with. A lot of people have written extensively to suggest that O. Paneerselvam was a little more palatable to them as a choice of Chief Minister than Sasikala. Would you corroborate that, sir?
No, I can't, because there's no discussion that has taken place. I was in Parliament today, practically meeting everybody, and there was no such indication. The only condition on which president's rule would come would be if there was no possibility of a stable government. And I don't think we have anything to choose between Paneerselvam and Sasikala. The issue is there is no provision.
Dr. Subramaniam Swami.
Yes.
Dr. Subramaniam Swami, this is Navika here. The question I'd like to ask you is, Dr. Subramaniam Swami, the governor has maintained a studied silence ever since O. Paneerselvam has given in his resignation and Sasikala has made a bid for the Chief Minister's post. To what do you attribute this silence of the governor, and do you think the governor can hold out for very much longer once he has accepted the resignation of O. Paneerselvam?
I think the governor is guilty of dereliction of duty. He should, having accepted his Paneerselvam's resignation, asked him to continue on a caretaker basis, and having received the letter from Sasikala and the names of all the MLAs who have signed it in her support, he ought to have immediately called her to stake a claim, and then decided on the basis of what she says the time and place for the swearing-in ceremony. Not having done that, he has gone against the constitution and he has disgraced the office of the governor.
Okay, Dr. Swami, stay on with us. I just want to go straight across to Shabir. Shabir, who joins me for more inputs. I am being told that there are two parallel meetings being conducted. OPS is locked in with some of his supporters, and we are being told that Sasikala is being called upon by certain top ministers in government also. We were told that there were dramatic scenes after OPS left the memorial with a large number of supporters and public that had gathered there cheering him on, saying that we are behind you.
Well, that's right, Rahul. In fact, when OPS left the memorial of late Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, there was a huge crowd that was waiting outside and they were cheering for OPS. And in fact, there were several AIADMK party workers who were praising him for his decision and for his courage, for speaking out against the AIADMK leadership. And that is the kind of sentiment that is prevailing within the AIADMK. Not only the grassroots level party workers, but also the mid-level leaders are backing and rallying behind O. Paneerselvam. So that is the information that we are getting in right now. And also on the other hand, parallel meeting is going on at the Poise Garden residence of AIADMK General Secretary V.K. Sasikala, and she is holding meetings with the senior leaders of the AIADMK, and some of the leaders have even proposed to V.K. Sasikala to sack O. Paneerselvam from the primary membership of the party. So that is the kind of talks that are going on, and sources are telling us that there could be some action against O. Paneerselvam, and that is something that they are now trying to contemplating as to what kind of action can be taken. And
so are you saying that disciplinary action is going to be taken, Shabir?
Are going to
disciplinary action that could even lead to perhaps Paneerselvam's expulsion from the party? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's right, Rahul, because the AIADMK party is something which will not take rebel, and perhaps there will be some kind of expulsion or there will be some kind of action against O Pannirselvam. But before that, they will try to assess the damage, and right now what they are trying to do is to assess the damage that as to how many MLAs will leave along with O Pannirselvam, how many leaders will back him, and whether O Pannirselvam has will take away the MLAs along with him. So how many MLAs he is going to take away along with him is the big question. That right now there are talks that are going on, but also the senior leaders are now pressurizing AIADMK General Secretary to sack O Pannirselvam, to take some kind of action against him, so that they can send a strong message.
Well, Shabir, as of now, and I'm sure you'll agree with this assessment, it is Shashikala who holds all the cards. Remember, she's in the closest position in the AIADMK to still become the chief minister, and therefore a large number of those who are going to follow OPS or perhaps support him will be also taking that into calculation. It's still Shashikala who's very definitely in pole position as far as her party is concerned. Won't that be a factor? And can Pannirselvam at some level or the other convince these individuals that he can actually split this party? Because if he can't, then their rebellion will mean nothing.
Well, that's right, Rahul. Your assessment is right. If O Pannirselvam is unable to convince senior MLAs or senior leaders of the party, then perhaps this rebel against the AIADMK leadership is something which is nothing but an exercise which will not yield any kind of results. But at this moment, what we can understand is that while OPS addressing the media, he said that even the party workers, the senior leaders of the party, they are unhappy with the present AIADMK leadership and the kind of involvement that their VK Shashikala's family members and the kind of pressure that they have to face through the family members of VK Shashikala. So that could be the primary reason. But as of now, they are trying to assess as to how many MLAs will come with
I just want to bring in Navika on that point. Navika, it's also a known fact that Shashikala was really the power behind the throne in the last few years, and she has sort of designed the architecture of the party around her also. Her many relatives control different factions of this party. So it's not as if Shashikala is one individual who has collated a large number of others without any relevance or any traction to her.
Well, it's very clear, Rahul, that if O Pannirselvam had taken this step before he had tendered his resignation, he would have held all the cards in his hand.
Right.
The fact that he's taken this decision to actually go and rebel and revolt after he has tendered his resignation leaves very few options with him. Either he has to have 90 MLAs who leave with him, which is how he can split the party. And if he cannot do that, I don't see any MLA giving up 4 years still of their regime still left in the AIADMK in the assembly, walking out with him. So that seems to be the biggest issue as far as O Pannirselvam's challenges are concerned, which is why we are saying that Sasikala holds all the cards at this moment, Rahul, simply because no MLA is going to give up 4 years of the tenure as an MLA in the Tamil Nadu Assembly to walk behind O Pannirselvam into the sunset. That is why the resignation drama probably has been miscalculated by O Pannirselvam, which is why also it's very important on what is the next step that will be taken by the governor. It's only if the governor does backing off O Pannirselvam can he have any cards in his hand.
Are we forgetting one aspect? And let's think about this. We just saw, just 2 weeks ago, we've seen an outpouring of the people. We've called it the Makkal movement, and there is a sentiment of the people which has forced the polity to act. Now, in this case also, Shabir can tell us, there are people lining up at 11:06 this evening, Rahul, on the streets of Chennai, from the Jaya Memorial at Marina Beach to Pannirselvam's residence. They are still cheering there. The people are cheering Pannirselvam. if the people's sentiment is that we want Paneer Selvam as our chief minister, the AIADMK MLAs cannot
Anand,
look away from that.
One could go with that, but this is a different circumstance.
Anand,
This is a
while
very
that's
different
very good,
circumstance,
Anand,
because
while
in
that's
this
very
particular
good for
circumstance,
morale
you would have to
boosting.
have then a call for an
Rahul,
election or a referendum, which is really improbable
That's
right now.
right. That's
which is
right.
improbable right
People's
now.
views will now come into play only 4 years later
Yes.
when there is an election, Anand. So people's support at this moment means precious little. At the moment, the elections have been held. There are 136 or 135 MLAs, and where these MLAs go, that's going to hold.
I just
the
want
key
to draw
who's going
our
to be
viewers'
chief
attention,
minister.
Navika, to the anti-defection law and how it works, because it's all going to come down to the number of legislators that Mr. Paneer Selvam can draw to himself. If he falls short of the 90 mark, he's pretty much history. So let me just quickly read what the anti-defection law says and how it works. Under the anti-defection law, even an expelled legislator is required to follow the whip issued by the party on whose ticket he was elected to the House and vote for his or original party during a floor test. So this is very, very crucial. In G. Vishwanathan versus Honorable Speaker, Tamil Nadu State Assembly, the Supreme Court ruled in 1996 that an expelled member was bound by the party's whip. Even after expulsion and failure to adhere, it would result in her or her disqualification from the House. So if you don't have a situation where Paneer Selvam has more than 50 MLAs, all of them will lose their seats. And as Navika was saying, that's improbable to some of them. Look at those pictures that are coming through from outside of the house of O. Paneer Selvam as he comes and he returns to his bungalow. You can see a large number of people there gathered. Obviously, these are supporters of OPS. There you see. So the pictures.
Mr. Paneer Selvam.
We want OPS! We want OPS! We want OPS! We want OPS!
Okay, as we look at those pictures and as our crew there tries to get a reaction from OPS, big news coming in. The Congress leaping into this entire fray says that governor refuses to conduct swearing in and outgoing Tamil Nadu CM rebels. Is PM Modi trying to bring down one more elected government? BJP has attained a mastery in the art of defections post Uttarakhand, Arunachal, Assam and UP. A repeat happening in Tamil Nadu. The Congress making this even more political and intractable quite clearly on the ground, Navika. The Congress coming out and raising the spectre of an orchestrated attempt to bring down a duly elected government. Obviously, the Congress is upset because they are obviously fearing a situation where president's rule could be imposed and then there would be the possibility of a re-election. Navika, if you can hear me.
That's right, Rahul. In fact, the Congress completely running out of options with only 8 MLAs in the Tamil Nadu government. The Congress cannot influence the situation in Tamil Nadu at all. Even if there was a split in the AIADMK, even if the DMK wanted support of the Congress MLAs, they still cannot form a government with a majority. So that's the frustration of the Congress that's really coming out, putting the blame on the BJP's doorstep. At the moment, the BJP needs to do precious little. It needs to just sit back and watch what really plays out in Tamil Nadu at this moment, given the fact that there are 2 factions that have emerged, given the fact that O. Paneer Selvam has rebelled, given the fact that O. Paneer Selvam does not hold any of the cards in his hands after he has tendered his resignation, which has also been accepted by the governor. There are very few options for O. Paneer Selvam unless he can get 90 of those MLAs with him to break away from the party, which at the moment we don't think he has the support of. So Sasikala still holds the cards, but governor, what the governor does will be of very, very, very
vital
deep importance, because how soon the governor moves, that's the big question. So for me, all eyes have to be on Governor Vidyasagar Rao on what move he makes, when does he demand the letters of support, and when does he call for